Hello everybody. After getting selected in civil services, officer trainees undergo a 2 years training which starts at Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, LBSNAA, Mussoorie, before officer trainees selected for different services go to their respective academies for further training and ends with their field posting. The IAS officers, however, continue their further training at LBSNAA itself. But is their training adequate or does it require some changes? To talk about such issues, we are joined by a senior IAS officer who has been chairman of the UPSC from 2014 to 16. He is Mr. Deepak Gupta, the 1974 batch IAS officer of Jharkhand cadre, who has also written a book, The Steel Frame, A History of IAS, which may be called an encyclopedia of the elite services. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Gupta. So after selection in the civil services, all the officer trainees, they go to LBSNAA for 4 months foundation course before going separately for their respective academies. So do you think the system is okay or do you need some, do you propose some reforms in this also?
No, I think it's a good idea if all services go together for a foundation course. And in that foundation course, two things happen. One, you are talking of the basics of India and the governance of India. The other is people get to meet each other, know each other, because at different times in their services, they will be required to interact with each other. So it's a good thing. The problem is that they have become too many in the number. So that is difficult to manage. And sending the entire number to academy at the same time is a problem. So we'll have to find a solution for that. And as you know, because of the age, many people are going with not only alone, but with wives and all, probably. In our time, wives and things were not allowed. Not allowed. And secondly, many people are sitting again.
You're right.
So in some way or the other, they are absent from training.
Yeah.
So that is the problem. So somebody else comes who is. I have mentioned, for example, that when I was in UPSC, the director of the police academy told me, how do I train these people when 90 out of 140 are sitting again? So I have recommended actually in the book that if you qualify for another service, you will get one more attempt to sit for the IAS or a superior service. One attempt. You need not go join the training. You can join 1 year later and your seniority will be protected. But don't waste your training time. And not more attempt. ये नहीं कि IPS में आ गए तो फिर इस साल भी बैठेंगे IAS के लिए, अगले साल भी बैठेंगे, उसके अगले साल भी बैठेंगे. So long as the age and attempts allow you to do so.
All these, the training module also consists of horse riding. Although it's no more compulsory, but how is it essential to this?
This is also mentioned in my book. Now probably people feel horse riding is not relevant.
Yeah.
And I also tend to think of it that way. But at that time, it brought in a new kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was said at that time, I'll tell you best in the words of the riding instructor, कि जो इंसान घोड़ा नहीं राइड कर सकता वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट क्या चलाएगा. So it is, you take it in that spirit, you have to remove your fear, all these kind of things. So it was a good exercise. But maybe for so many people now, it is practically a problem. How you have to maintain so many horses, you have to find a field, you have to find time. So maybe in today's world, it's no longer relevant.
Yeah, because horse riding gives you a lot of control over your own abilities.
Yes. So we had to do that. We learned to it. But really, may not be necessary now because of the reasons I'm mentioning.
And so for IAS particularly, after 4 months foundation course, there is a professional course, there is Bharat Darshan, then there is a attachment with the private sector, public sector. So do you think there are certain more changes needed through which they can understand problems of the common man, or is that?
So I think the training program now is quite robust.
Okay.
And in the district, they spend time in villages also.
Right.
So they need to understand not only the problems of the common man, but get a good idea. So I think the thing is robust. The important thing is, lot of engineers and doctors are coming.
Right.
Humanity is taught liberal principles. What is the idea of justice? What is the people's will, etc., etc., What is the concept of liberty? So I think these are missing because these are all technical people. So the training in the academy somehow must emphasize in some way these basic principles. And it can be done by a proper... The other thing is that bookish knowledge is now not required.
Yeah.
So we have to be more of factual, circumstantial case studies, and through that we try to learn more. And I was for many years I evaluated the thesis of the probationers of the academy.
Yeah,
they get a degree from the JNU if to write a thesis.
Right.
I was not happy with the standard of the thesis. So I think that standards have to be raised up. And I made many other suggestions for how that thesis can be improved and how actually it can become an input into policy making and for good, for better administrative actions by people when they join the district. So I think there is a scope for improvement over there also.
So what we see is that instead of being public servant, civil servants tend to, especially the IAS, feel as if they are part of a royalty.
Well, it's not entirely true, but that is one of the problems, the arrogance.
Yeah.
And I think the coaching centers are also not doing the right thing. They are instilling this arrogance in people during their coaching. I have heard of coaching centers telling that you will be like royalty in the district. So that is something which we need to trim, and therefore I suggest that in the academy we also need to have psychologists, etc., who can do the attitudinal appraisal of all the probationers there and find a way to assess this during the district through the reports coming from the collector, etc., etc. I think they need to have a very important role to play. And leadership and ethics needs to be drummed into the people again and again in different ways. Because the one thing the IAS person must do is not be arrogant.
Right.
Yes.
Similarly, there are rather increasing number of cases where IAS officers are found involved in some or the other kind of corruptions.
Well,
major corruption.
We'll come to the reform part in the next discussion.
So can this be instilled somehow through training?
I don't know. I'm not an expert on training, but as I said, how you instill ethics, not only at the time of the initial training, but in some way drill it in a way continuously over every year. There can be some kind of through the online system now that you have to pass through certain kind of tests continuously every year online.
Right now, after the initial training, there is a mid-career training. So
the mid-term career is part of the either to improve the management expertise of the person, or it's a beginning of its professional route.
Yes.
So if I go into some posting of health, in my midterm, I may go for a degree in health or for a higher level to course in health. So that becomes my professional expertise now. I will then be expected to be posted in the health ministry, not sent to irrigation or something like that. So when you discuss lateral entry, you are asking for specialists to come from outside.
Exactly.
But the IAS officers who become specialists, they are posted elsewhere. So this is a contradiction in terms.
Right. Means an engineer, a person with an engineering background, that person should be posted in.
No, I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't agree with you. You forget the background. Now there is a person who is capable as a person. He has the capacity to go wherever he is sent.
Yeah.
It is not necessary. He will bring the skills that he has, he will bring to wherever he is posted. It's not necessary. And that is the whole point of the discussion on lateral entry. The best example, and by the way, there are, if you happen to read in the discussion on lateral entry in my book,
Right.
unfortunately, there is no such discussion in the public domain. People just write without studying the area or understanding the implications.
You're right.
Just as a criticism of the IAS, lateral entry is a much bigger thing. It's just not to replace the IAS.
Right.
It's a system for professionalism in the government.
But how can the officers who are coming through lateral entry compete with people who have undergone two years training?
So no, that's one of the problems of lateral entry. So I'm not justifying lateral entry.
Yeah.
Why should you be taking people in lateral entry?
So
there is
that
no
means-
need. See, I will give you an example now that you have come to lateral entry. I was giving you the example. Many years ago, Peter Drucker is a management expert, well recognized in the world. Paul Appleby is a public administration expert. Both have written about it. Harold Lasky has written about it. Mr. Prakash Tandon, the Indian management expert, has written about it. All have said that generalists should rise to the top. All.
Not the experts.
Not the experts. And they have given reasons for it. If I'm in the health ministry, do I have a secretary who's a cardiologist or a mental health specialist? What? So the role of the IAS is very different.
It's man management.
It's man management, coordination, budget, finances, policy framing. I need to get the inputs from everybody. I need to get them together. That's the expertise. And that's the expertise which the IAS has. When you say I'm not professional, that's my specialization. And I told you about Sardar Patel having said, this is the only service which brings in input from the field. Only service. So I will give you the example. I was for many years involved in the TB program. Now you will say what an IAS officer has to do with it. What even an engineer or an art student, doesn't matter. But the DGHS was running the program, very technical program. But it was failing. Because the inputs that we brought of the ground reality were not there.
Right.
So we made programs which reached to the people. And that made a huge difference. So you see, the technical and the non-technical work together. And it is my job as an IAS officer to bring everything together. And in any case, numbers are very, IAS officers are very few in number now. Yeah. So you will find people from all these services, they are joint secretary, etc., etc. And there is no evaluation of what has happened to the 9 people selected from the lateral entry. And it requires to be done, because in my mind it's a failure. Everybody's gone back.
Right.
They have not been happy with their experience.
Right, they've all resigned.
They have also not been able to contribute.
Right.
I will give you an example of MNRE. MNRE is a specialist ministry.
Right.
It is dealing with renewable energy.
Right.
So a joint secretary coordinates everything.
Right.
But I need a hydrogen specialist. I need a battery specialist. I need a solar, thermal, solar this, solar that specialist. These will come from the technical side. And I need a person with updated knowledge. Hydrogen is changing so fast. Technology is changing so fast. So I need to bring in through lateral entry into the specialist positions. Not the joint secretary.
Right.
And this is not understood. So there is a need for lateral entry. But in these places and of this kind. So you have to look at the larger perspective.
Last question in this segment is about the faculty. Means right now in LBSNAA most of the faculty comes from IAS itself.
Not most, but a large part of it. You have to have both.
Yeah.
You have to have academic and you have to have from the service. because the service will provide you with help with case studies of things which have happened, everything, and also for the social sector. Now, I don't want a professor to come and tell me about health. We have enough knowledge. I spent 11 years in the health ministry. I can do modules. I can go and talk about communicable diseases, about this, about health policy, etc. In a better way than maybe an academician because of the experience that I have.
You're right.
So you need a combination of both. The problem is that the faculty which comes from the academics, they don't, one is recruitment rules prevent good people from coming. And their work in the academy is not recognized for the place from where they are coming. Yeah. So I need to improve that part to get in the best people. You know, when I went to Kennedy School, we attended lectures on microeconomics, macroeconomics, project appraisal, public finance, just modules. But they were wonderful modules and I learned so much. They were done by different people. So you can call in experts from all over the country and do these modules.
Right. But people who are coming on deputation, how much stake they have in the training than
the academics?
The permanent faculty. If there is a permanent faculty.
Permanent faculty, I would not recommend. Because nobody would like to stay in Mussoorie for 30 years. Mm-hmm. So they also have a career. Let them go to their...
But this is also a career.
No, but this is a career, but you know, lateral entry here is good. Because knowledge changes, everything changes. So if people keep coming, and I can get people all the time. Right. So I have to consider how much of it is permanent, how much of it is coming to do modular training, right. etc., etc. So this whole thing of the faculty needs to be re-examined in this light.
Can you please relate to an anecdote as some incident which happened during your training, which you carried with you for the lifelong? Maybe it was good or bad or ugly, whatever.
Well, I had one, I mean, there were many anecdotal evidence, but one I think really made an impact on me, and this was during my district training when I was in charge of a block for three months. And so a TA bill was placed in front of me for a peon. He lived in the district headquarters, but he was posted in the block. So the arrangement was made to help him for transport, that he could bring the dak and to and fro from the district. So when the TA bill was put up in front of me, it was mentioned, he claimed night halt in the district headquarters. So I asked, why is he claiming night halt when he's staying there and we are allowing him to go back and forth with the dak? So the question of few rupees, small thing. So he said, साहब ऐसे ही होता आया है. तो बड़ा बाबू ने बोला कि तो आप कर दीजिए, ऐसे ही चल रहा है. तो मैंने कहा मैं तो नहीं करूंगा because ये सही नहीं है. It's a small thing. He said that this is leader of the union of the 4th grade in the district, and this is a volatile district where the Communist Party was very strong. So I said, it doesn't matter. I mean, if what is not right, I cannot put my signature to. My training will finish in a month or so. Then you put up the bill after I have left. He said, no, that we should not do. So if you don't, then if you want to do it, you. So I refused. That was the end of the matter. We wondered whether there would be any repercussion. But during the farewell, after all had been done, this man at the back got up and I said, I want to say something. And he said that when this thing happened, I was very angry at you, young IAS officer who has come to deny me my night halt. But then I thought over it and thought that what you had done was right thing. Then I further thought about it and said that even though it was such a small thing, you have done the right thing. Then you also did it even when you were told that I hold this position about the union. So I realized that this was a good thing you did. And he said then that even in such a small thing, you did right. And he said you are going to rise to the top in your service. So you always do right. Big or small, you always do the right thing. That is my blessing to you. So whenever later in life I had at any time any doubt, normally people ask about ethical dilemmas. And I say, where is the question of an ethical dilemma if I have to do the right thing? So always this image of this man speaking to me in that room used to come up. Do the right thing. And if all of us do the right thing, our problem will more or less be over. So this was one thing which remained with me, and I relate this anecdote to any and everybody who because it was a very good lesson.
That means even the smallest cog in the system, even if you are not obliging him, is appreciating your honesty and
I
integrity.
think this shows that people appreciate honesty.
Right.
And I often tell my colleagues that it is your credibility that is the biggest thing. And I know in my experience in the district that the district administration's credibility, partly coming from me as the head of the district, enabled me to do many things, which is a different story, which I have reported all these things in my memoirs. Small things matter, but credibility, individual or of the system, I think it is really, really critical.
And that cannot be imparted through any training.
No, it has to be earned. But if I have the ethics lessons and, as I said, case studies and all that in the academy, so this has to be reinforced. Both in the academy and subsequently, and the world has now many ways of training about ethics in a concurrent way, in an incremental way or regular way. So I think that should be done so that everybody keeps getting this message all the time, that ethics is very important.
I think this lesson may be learned by so many others who are watching this interview.
Well, let us hope so.
It was very nice talking to you, sir. And maybe there are so many takeaways for people.
Thank you.
It was very nice talking to you, sir. It was an invigorating session on the impact of lateral entry on IAS services and training of IAS officers. We'll continue our discussion with Mr. Gupta in the third episode, where we are going to talk to him about whether some reforms are needed in the IAS cadre itself, the evaluation and process of promotions. Thank you for watching Indian Masterminds. Please like and subscribe our channel. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay tuned. Thank you very much.